Hi everyone, and welcome to a beautiful morning at a beautiful place on a beautiful day. I've been here since before sunrise and I've just been enjoying the views, enjoying a nice hot cup of, let's see, this is herbal mint tea. I drove to this area last night. I'm a couple hours from home and I had very interesting accommodations last night. I'll talk more about that in a minute. But for now, I'm just going to enjoy the view. I'm going to finish the rest of my drink here and I'll show you the little cook camp setup that I take with me. It's pretty interesting. I've shown it to you before, but it's been a while, so let me do that. The base of the system is this little $15 cook set that I got from Walmart like 6 years ago that I still use and I still love. This is a Stanley set. It comes with this little pot, a little lid, and 2 of these little insulated plastic mugs with it. And inside of that, I usually have this little fuel canister, a very small fuel canister, but it's empty right now. And so this morning I used my backup, which is a larger canister, but this small fuel canister fits inside along with one of the mugs. And then my little $10 cheap Amazon stove that works great. And then my lighter, which is somewhere maybe in my pocket, I don't know. The lighter goes inside also. The lid goes on and it almost perfectly fits, but with the little handle on, it fits well enough. Really nice little compact setup. And I don't really cook. I'm not much of a cook or a chef. On my trips, I usually just use this for boiling water, for morning drinks occasionally, the occasional tea or hot chocolate, that sort of thing. And it fits anywhere in a car. Really nice, compact little setup that, again, I've had for as long as I've been doing this SUV camping thing. This place is called Ocean Lake, and I wanted to come here because I saw it on the map, and it's a really unique spot. It is a very long finger of land, a peninsula of land, and this is the peninsula right here, sticking out into the lake. This peninsula is like a mile long, very skinny. I'll put a screenshot of the Google Maps view or the Google satellite view. And over here we have views of the Wind River Range, one of the great and most beautiful mountain ranges of the western United States. The city of Lander is about half an hour this way if you're familiar with the area. Over here, just behind my car, is a little, I don't know if this is a campground. I think this is a little campground. There are some little shade structures here. I know the boat launch is right here, little bathroom. Nice little spot. But I think also there is dispersed camping allowed on this peninsula, jutting out into Ocean Lake. I think this is one of those spots right here. There's a fire ring right there, actually. Really cool spot that, again, I wanted to visit just because it looked interesting, and it's a beautiful morning to be exploring new places. This is the first full day of an 8 or 9 day trip through northern Wyoming and into southwestern Montana that I'm really looking forward to. I think this will be the last real mountain trip of the season, of the year, for this part of the country. And I thought a fun way of starting this trip would be to stay at an interesting spot, a unique Airbnb that I found. And I'm not being sponsored by these people. I paid the full price for this place. I just found it on Airbnb while I was browsing and thought it would be a fun and unique and interesting way to start off a video. So let's head back there. It's about 15 minutes away and I'll give you the tour. Welcome to the honest-to-goodness grain silo that I spent the night at last night, complete with a little outdoor sink and outhouse, and I'll give you a tour of everything in a minute, but I wanted to show you the rest of the surrounding area. We have a horse next door, and this place is called Jim Moss Arena Campground. We've got a handful of other campers here, got some RVs, and just a whole lot of nothing. I think this property has a couple hundred acres. Let's go take a look over here. Again, outdoor sink, the little wash basin. In the outhouse, we've got a little RV toilet. And then let's take a look inside the granary itself, inside the silo. Might take a little while for the camera to adjust here, but inside we have a quaint, pleasant little home away from home. Ceiling fan up in the top, and the walls and the ceiling have been sprayed with spray foam insulation. There's a nice little heater and artificial fireplace right here that I had running last night. Like a queen-sized bunk bed. And this has been on the property for years. I think they pretty recently turned it into an Airbnb. And all the stuff that you see inside here is original to the property. Like, this is stuff that the family here has had for years. I liked this. They have a TV and a VCR, and behind here a bunch of tapes, a bunch of classics: Aladdin, Heidi, Pinocchio, Shrek. It's kind of a little throwback in here. Inside the fridge we have s'more making materials. There's a fire pit out front along with some firewood. And yeah, that's just about it. Really a fun little spot to spend the night. A bunch more VHS tapes down here along with some lawn chairs, and you can pull out these little beanbag chair things if you wanted to watch a classic old movie. I've never spent the night in a grain silo before, but it does remind me of being inside of a yurt. My wife and I spent a couple nights in a yurt a few years ago. I'll put a link to that video down below if you want to see it. It's round, obviously, like a yurt. It has a conical roof, so it definitely feels like that. This is like the cowboy version, the Wyoming version of a yurt. And I was talking with the owner last night. They've been out here for 40 plus years. I think she said 43 years, and I think the family was heavily involved in the rodeo circuit or doing cowboy things, I don't know, but it definitely feels like that out here. You feel like you're in the West. This is Western country out here. And I'm gonna pack up now, I think. Well, I'm already packed up. All my stuff is in this IKEA shopping bag that I brought in from the car, so I'm gonna haul that out of here, and I'm gonna drive through the town of Riverton, which is 15 minutes away from here, and go through town to the other side to a little point of interest that I want to see and show you guys. This neat old bridge is called Black Bridge. It was built in 1883, and originally it spanned the Mississippi River. Right now it's over the Wind River, and the Mississippi River is much larger, much wider than the Wind River here. I believe in 1927 the bridge was decommissioned there and moved to here. And again, this is a much smaller river, and so I think this is only a small portion of the original bridge that was moved here. This used to be a railroad bridge, but now it is a rail trail, so you can walk and bike along this trail. I think it's also open to ATV users and dirt bikers and that sort of thing. This section of rail trail is called the Wyoming Heritage Trail, and it spans 22 miles, I think I read, from Riverton over in that direction to Shoshone over in this direction. Here's a better look at the river itself. And here's what the pathway looks like underfoot here. Old wooden beams or planks or railroad ties. And the river here is dirtier and more brown than I've seen it in other places. I don't know if that's just the result of traveling through this kind of sandy landscape, or if there was a storm upstream at some point recently, and so the water is a little bit off color because of that. I'm not sure. This trail and this bridge will ultimately be part of what's called the Great American Rail Trail, which is a several thousand mile long rail trail. Well, it used to be a train track, but now they've converted it into a trail that'll go across the country from Washington, D.C. in the east to Washington State in the west. And not a whole lot of that trail is actually completed. Actually, there's a fair amount completed in the east, like the eastern third or eastern half of the trail is done, and then there's more completed in Washington State and across Idaho. But once you get into the middle, that's where things get a little bit tricky. I think that Wyoming is the least developed state of all of those. I read online that only 3% of the planned part of that trail in Wyoming is actually done, and so there's a lot of work left to do in Wyoming. If and when that ever gets completed, how amazing of an adventure would that be to ride across the country? I mean, I know you can do that already on roads and everything, but this will be a, a more or less motor-free, I think, path, gravel path across the country that would just be a spectacular adventure to do. And so we're going to be following this river. We're going to be following the Wind River as it flows to the north, as it flows over in this direction, downstream. It goes through a spectacular canyon, and so does a road. A road follows the river, it parallels the river as it flows through a really beautiful and impressive canyon that I think is just called Wind River Canyon. And so I'm gonna walk back to the little trailhead. So there are multiple trailheads and parking areas along this 22-mile section of trail. I'm gonna hike back, 5 or 10 minutes back to my car over there, and then drive to the north, and I think I'll put the GoPro back on top of the car and record either some time-lapse footage or some real-time footage on the GoPro of that really spectacular drive. And then the river does something pretty interesting, pretty unique, pretty different, kind of at the far end of this drive. So I'm near the town of Riverton now, and near the town of Thermopolis, which is at the end of the canyon over in that direction. The river is, again, it does something kind of weird, and so I'll run the GoPro driving footage now so you can see that beautiful canyon. Then we'll talk about what the river is doing over on the other end. Sorry guys, but there was a little bit of a problem here. I deleted that GoPro footage off of my little GoPro with a magnet on top that I stick on top of the car to get driving footage. I thought I had it backed up, and so I deleted it, but I don't have another copy of it, and I can't recover that from the SD card. And so unfortunately, I do not have the driving footage of going through the canyon. I thought about actually driving back there today or tomorrow. This video is going to go live in a couple days, so I have a couple days to try to get that footage again. But it's like a 4-hour drive. It's literally snowing outside right now. And so I just can't do it. And so I apologize for that. I'll try to do this drive again in the future and get that footage for you. But for now, I'll just put a couple of pictures up of what the canyon looks like. Again, I'm sorry, but it happens sometimes. All right, guys, we just got out of the canyon right here. We're about a mile or two from the town of Thermopolis over in this direction. That drive through the canyon has to be one of the better paved road drives in Wyoming. That is just a spectacular drive, especially if you're not stuck behind a FedEx truck the entire time like I was. But anyway, this is the river, and I would say that this is the Wind River because, it's the same river that we were following since back by the bridge. But the river changes its name here. This is now called the Bighorn River. And this is unique because usually when there's a name change in a river like this, it's because a couple of rivers or a couple of forks of a river come together, and then the combined river gets a new name. This is not like that. It's the same river, nothing new that's major has come into the river. Just, right there, it's still called the Wind River, and then right here, it's called the Bighorn River. And this place is called the Wedding of the Waters. The reason this river has two different names is because early explorers didn't realize it was the same river. There's this basin over here, the Bighorn Basin, and then that river basin on the other side of this mountain here called the Wind River Basin. And they didn't know that it was the same river that flowed through these mountains through this canyon here. And so the plan now has actually just changed. I just looked at the weather forecast and it's different for the next few days from what I thought it would be, and that means that I have a couple hours of driving to do today that I hadn't otherwise planned on doing. So I'm gonna hop into town, hop into Thermopolis, get a pizza for lunch, fill up the car with gas, and then drive a couple hours to the north. And so when you guys see me again, I'll be at camp and hopefully have nice, beautiful views of some sort to show you at my campsite. It's now several hours later. It's been a nice afternoon, very calming, just a nice easy drive and some pizza, and it's been a good day. I've had a good time today. And I'm at a campsite that is feels very exposed. I'm camped on this high plateau with great views of the mountains over in this direction. And then some badland type formations behind me in the other direction. I'm about 15 miles north of Cody, Wyoming, which is over here. It's kind of on the other side of this mountain. It's the largest city in this area. The eastern entrance to Yellowstone is over here. Yellowstone is about 25 miles to the west. And then Billings, Montana is about an hour and 20 minutes, hour and a half to the north. It's these mountains behind me that I've come to this area to explore, so be sure to stay tuned for that adventure. And this really is big sky country. That's one thing that has struck me about this spot in particular. You know, Montana, their slogan is big sky country, but that could easily be applied to Wyoming also. And it's not just the sky. I mean, this place, this region is just big everything country. In every dimension, in every direction, it's just big out here. The sky is vast, the land is vast, just everything is big and wide open, and I love it. This is such a fun place to be. And I hope you guys enjoyed the adventure today. Hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think. Let me know what your experiences have been like in the places that I visited today. Let me know what your favorite part was. Let me know if you have any questions, and I'll see you in the next one. Be sure to check out Adventure Know-How, my new site, where you can gain access to a map of all of my free campsites, plus monthly bonus videos that you won't find anywhere else. Learn more at adventureknowhow.com. And for links to everything else SUV RVing related, visit suvrving.com. Links to these sites and more will be in the video description.